heading to Baltimore to stay with a friend of mine, Rory, who worked with me at Disney on my college program. And tomorrow is March 24th, and we are going to the March for Our Lives in Washington, D.C. Because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. It's an issue that we're very passionate about. So let's go to Washington and let it be known that we want gun reform.
And last time there was a march in Washington, it was the
Women's March,
and we weren't able to go to DC. We went to the one in Cleveland, but we wanted to go to the one in DC, and this weekend was possible for us, so we're doing it.
So we're doing it.
We made it. We're waiting on our friend to come down and give us a parking pass.
We'll see you in the morning at the march. Well, probably not at the march quite yet, but getting on the train and getting into DC. Yeah.
Good night. Waiting to go. On our way soon. Tired. Look at that rad sweatshirt. Literally rad. Radical. Got this out of your face.
Ice, cinnamon, almond milk, macchiato.
Did you say iced?
Mm-hmm.
It's like 30 degrees.
I just like cold coffee, Kate. I don't know if you can see behind us, that is the Capitol building.
Yeah.
So we're on the National Mall. Show you. That's the Washington Monument.
Right.
And the Smithsonian.
Which is huge.
Yeah, and then this is the Natural History Museum. There's the Capitol building. I'll zoom in a little, it's really far away. We started all the way up there.
Past the portrait gallery.
Yeah, we're gonna hit up the National Portrait Gallery. It doesn't open until 11:30, and the march is at noon. I don't know if we should do that on the way back to the train to Baltimore.
Just depends
or
on when we
before.
leave.
I'm not sure. We're gonna do the archives before the march. That's at 10.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go try and see the White House. It's right up there to the right. So we'll take ya. So I did that long ass video of us walking to the wrong spot. So
If we had a tour, it would have been the right spot.
yeah, so let's try this again. You have to tell me what you just said. Okay, hold on. First, for reference, here we are. And if you look up there, what is up there?
Oh, there's people on top. And Mike goes, yeah, those are East Langfors. I said, oh.
So there she is.
I also can't talk very well right now because my lips are very
Yeah, I'm pretty
cold.
frozen. So before we had, hello, we had the Washington Monument behind us, but now,
Oh, it almost worked.
there it is. There's the White House. just went to the National Archives building. Couldn't take any pictures or video or anything, but there it is, right up there. And that's where the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. So that was fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. I can't believe it's taken me 27 years to
see
my
it.
country's history, but I just saw Liberty Bell a couple months ago, so yeah, getting patriotic.
And as you can maybe hear behind us, there's a lot going on. There are a ton of people walking towards the march, so that's what we're gonna do.
Saw a ton of really cool signs so far.
I'm gonna try and get some video of cool signs. So.
Yeah, without being creepy.
Yeah.
My name is Alex Wynn. I'm a junior at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. In the wake of the tragedy on February 14th, we, as students, as youths, decided that if adults weren't going to take action, we would. No gun-related legislation has been passed in this country since 2008, 10 years ago. Since 2008, there have been at least 95 mass shootings in this country.
Inaction is no longer safe, and to that we say, no more. 96 people die every day from guns in our country, yet most representatives have no public stance on guns. And to that, we say, no more. We are going to make this the voting issue. We're going to take this to every election, to every state and every city. We're going to make sure the best people get in our elections to run, not as politicians, but as Americans. Today is the beginning of spring, and tomorrow is the beginning of democracy.
I represent the African American women who are victims of gun violence, who are simply statistics instead of vibrant, beautiful girls that full of potential. It is my privilege to be here today. I am indeed full of privilege. My voice has been heard. I am here to acknowledge their stories, to say they matter, to say their names, because I can, and I was asked to be. For far too long, these names, these black girls and women, have been just numbers. I'm here to say never again for those girls too. I am here to say that everyone should value those girls too. People have said that I am too young to have these thoughts on my own. People have said that I am a tool of some nameless adult. It's not true. My friends and I might still be 11, and we might still be in elementary school, but we know life isn't equal for everyone, and we know what is right and wrong. We also know that we stand in the shadow of the Capitol, and we know that we have 7 short years until we too have the right to vote. So I'm here today to honor the words of Toni Morrison. If there is a book that you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, you must be the one to write it. I urge everyone here and everyone who hears my voice to join me in telling the stories that aren't told. To honor the girls, the women of color who were murdered at disproportionate rates in this nation. I urge each of you to help me write the narrative for this world and understand so that these girls and women are never forgotten. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Maya and I'm 16 years old and I'm in a creative writing program through After School Matters in Chicago. I'm here because I have been personally affected by the lack of gun control, and I believe guns have taken over the minds of individuals who want an easy way out of their dilemma. Chicago goes through this every day, and you don't realize how much of a toll it is taking on our city until you see it in our communities. You see it on someone you know. You see it on someone like me. Freshman year in high school, I wanted to get some things for the store for my mom because she was sick. I remember pulling on all these clothes and going out in 10 or so degree weather. It was so cold. Get to the store, grabbing all this stuff, thinking maybe she needs this, maybe she needs that, and finally getting into line. This guy in front of me all of a sudden gets upset because he didn't have enough money to pay for the things that he wanted to buy. He gets out of line and starts trashing the store, throwing everything over the floor, pushing carts, just making a fool out of himself. So finally, when I check out, I walk to the door and I'm ready to go when I hear a scream and a bang. I turn around and see he's grabbing all this stuff, pushing it into every crevice of his body, trying to grab as much as he can. When he finally turns to me, He comes towards me and I couldn't move, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't talk, I couldn't think. All I remember is seeing dark jeans coming towards me. He pulls out this silver pistol and points it in my face and said these words that to this day haunt me and give me nightmares. He said, if you said anything, I will find you. And yet I'm still saying something today. Guns have long scared our children, corrupted our adults, and publicly silenced our government. Guns have become the voice of America, and the government is becoming more negligent by this predicament by the day. Join me in sharing my pain and my anger. Help us by screaming to the government that we are tired of crying for help to a group of people that have turned their backs on us, despite their reassurance of making our country safer. Help us by screaming as loud as you can that we're tired of being forced under the rug. We're tired of seeing the faces of victims exposed on screens who was stolen from us too fast to even understand what and why it happened. Help us by sharing our stories to those who turned a blind eye and became deaf to our pleas for control. Help us by honoring those who will never have a chance to contribute the turn of our nation. Help us by vociferating the voices of those who are too oppressed to even speak for themselves. Together, we can make sure that what happened to me, the students in Parkland, and to the individuals who stand here now does not repeat itself to other people. We deserve safer schools, safer classrooms, safer streets, and a safer place for us to learn and survive. We deserve better because I believe that we are the future. And we must act upon this civil inflicted war while we still can. The new generation depends on our actions, and we must deliver them effectively and as one. We are the turn of this century. We are the voice for change. We are the pieces to fix what America is falling short on. Make it happen.
My name is Yolanda Renee King, granddaughter of Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott. My grandfather had a dream that his 4 little children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream that enough is enough. Will you please repeat these words after me? Spread the word! Spread the word! Have you heard? Spread the word! All across the nation! All across the nation! We are going to be a great generation! A great generation!
Hi, my name is Alea Eastman, and I am a Parkland survivor. I was in room 1214 studying Holocaust history when bullets started flying in, and I was the 3rd classroom. Today, one of my fellow fallen eagles named Nicholas Doret, it would have been his 18th birthday today, and I dedicate my march to him. But I'm not only here to speak about school shootings. I'm here to speak for the urban communities that have been speaking out about this way before February 14, 2018. Their voices are just as important as ours, and they need to be heard. This is a very important subject, and it needs to change. Although it's been 38 days since the Parkland shooting, nothing has changed, and we need change now. This cannot happen again, and it's going to continue to happen again until we get change. How many more do we need? How many more do we need in schools? How many more do we need in the streets? We need change now, not only in schools, but in urban communities as well. All of our lives are important, and all of our stories need to be heard, no matter what color you are, what school you go to, what neighborhood you live in. 15 years ago, I lost my Uncle Patrick to gun violence in Brooklyn, New York. My mother almost lost her daughter to the same gun violence in Parkland, Florida. This needs to change. We've been fighting for this way too long and nothing has changed. And we need change now.
We may not yet have reached our glory, but I will gladly join the fight. And when our children tell their story, they'll tell the story of tonight. They'll tell the story of tonight. Tonight.
You ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear?
Well, let that lonely feeling wash away.
All we see is light.
'Cause maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand.
Okay, so
A lot has happened.
a lot has happened since we last saw you. We took the train back home to Baltimore to Rory's house, and this morning, last night, we watched the live action Cinderella for the first time, and I loved it.
It was so good.
Yeah, I can't believe that it took me this long to watch it. My hair is a mess right now because we're just driving home. So, with all of that said, I want to sit down and do like a recap of the march and give our thoughts on it and all of that kind of stuff, but I think that we're gonna do that when we get home tonight.
Yeah.
So that Katie can like actually focus on it instead of driving.
So I don't crash.
Yes. So we went to brunch this morning with Rory, and that was a lot of fun. We went to a place called Alexander's and walked around downtown Baltimore a little bit.
What is this?
We are currently now sitting in some Baltimore traffic. So we're on our way home. It was a fun and busy and jam-packed weekend, and that's how we like our weekends, right?
Yeah.
So
That's how we live it.
it was fun, and we'll
Educational and inspiring. We'll save that for later.
So we're on our way home.
Yep.
So we're about to dig into our Diablo donuts that we got in downtown Baltimore.
Okay.
What? Oh, fun fact, Diablo Donuts is this little shop, and in the morning, oh my god, they smell so good. In the morning,
It's Old Bay.
they're a donut shop, and at night, they're a pizzeria, so their boxes are flipped inside out for donuts, which is hilarious. So we got 6 here because we're taking some home for our roommate because we're nice.
And we want more.
And we wanted more, yeah. So we got a blueberry and basil donut, a blueberry cheesecake donut, a cookies and cream worms and dirt donut, Samoa, chocolate sprinkles, and Old Bay seasoning with caramel, which is like literally all you can smell when you open this box.
Oh, I still smell. It's Old Bay.
They look delish,
Yeah.
and we're about to dig in.
Might be interesting, but
You can drive and eat. Yeah.
basically small cookie, not instead of a cookie, a donut.
Alright, I'm gonna dig into my worms and dirt one here. Guys, we just saw a turkey fly!
It flew, like, flew. It looked so awkward.
It was real awkward. Like, I didn't think they were supposed to fly.
No, I guess I never thought about it.
At first, I don't know, I thought it was like a goose.
Yeah, at first I thought it was a hawk carrying something.
Yeah, and then I looked and it landed and it like, I was like, oh my god, that's a turkey.
Never seen a turkey fly.
Weird.
Who knew?
So we are home. We made it home from Baltimore. Shout out to Rory and thank you for letting us stay with you this weekend. It was so
You're awesome.
nice to see you again.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
Year and a half.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll be back. So as you can see, we got pretty bad sunburn yesterday. I have a perfect
Look at our awesome
line
noses.
on my forehead from my hat.
It's pretty great. It's like a perfect circle.
I
got raccoon
just
eyes.
didn't anticipate getting sunburn.
I thought about it and I packed sunscreen and I didn't take it with us to the march. So I was smart but then really dumb.
But the march. So it wasn't so much a march really as it was a rally.
Gathering,
Yeah.
you know, like
There were just too many people for it to be like an actual march.
it was pretty much like if you care, show up. Be here and support.
Yeah, and they have thrown out 800 to 850,000 people. Were in DC at the march
I believe it.
yesterday. That sounds about right based on what I saw picture-wise and being there.
We're trying to be serious here, Ted.
He's really happy that we're home. He's very clingy. And
Come here.
it was
Amazing.
It was amazing. It was empowering. It was
inspiring.
Yeah. To see those kids get up there and give a speech like that in front of
almost 1 million people
is just astounding.
I mean, you see these kids.
They're poised.
Oh, yeah.
They know exactly what they need to do and say. And, you know, they have the numbers behind them in terms of supporters and believers and, you know.
I really tried to stop him that time. He was not having it.
Teddy. I've said a lot in this video and I'm sorry.
You see these kids on, you know, TV and you hear about the tragedy and it's horrible.
Yeah.
But even seeing it in person makes it...
I cried a lot.
It makes it even more real.
It was just
they're
like,
there and you're seeing them speak.
The
and
words,
you hear these stories.
Yeah, I mean, like the words that they were saying and their experiences. And it wasn't just the kids from Parkland. I mean, they had people come and speak from Brooklyn, New York. They had people come and speak from Chicago,
LA,
South Los Angeles, multiple people from Chicago actually, because I know that that is like, they have the worst record there for gun-related deaths. So it's important to not only focus on mass shootings in general, but one-off shootings in cities like Chicago.
All gun violence.
Yeah, all gun violence, period. And that's what this march was about. I think that there could have been a stigma around it, about it just focusing on mass shootings, but it didn't. They did a
really good job.
They thought of everything and they included people from everything. Hearing those kids speak, I literally, my eyes just like leaked water all day.
I mean, you just hear how guns have touched all these kids' lives in a million different ways.
Whether it be their best friend at school, their twin brother, their older brother,
I mean, these kids,
anybody.
Some of them were 11 years old and they had to go through the trauma of losing someone because of a gun. And they were brave enough to go up there and speak, which I don't know if I could do.
And all of these kids that they had speak had some sort of action that they were working on in their communities for gun violence, which was really great.
You're never too young to make a difference. That's bullcrap if anyone tells you different. I don't care if you're 11. I don't care if you're 82.
So this is, and I know that, this YouTube page is Main Street 9 3/4, and it's supposed to be about Disney and Universal and all things fun.
Teddy's bringing the fun today.
But this YouTube channel is also about Megan and Katie, and Megan and Katie are very passionate about gun reform and gun control and keeping people safe in America and not feeling scared to leave the house or walk the streets of the city that you live in. So this is important to us and we wanted to share it with you. So
yes,
thank you for listening and we'll see you next week.
Hope you had fun with the trip.
Yeah.
But also learn something from it, just like we did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was fun traveling down there and doing a car trip and everything, but when you're standing there and you've got all those signs around you, and we had someone in front of us who was personally touched by gun violence, and they're watching these speeches and they're crying, you know, it hits home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important.
Yeah. Bye.